So with depth, in the earlier assignment when we had depth, the requirement was to use hue, value, and saturation. However, when you normally use depth, you may not actually use all three of these. So, with the magenta here, you can go ahead and just use a combination of value and saturation to create the depth here. You don't actually need to use the hue. You know, the case of the assignment was to show that you could use all three. Now that you've kind of done that and demonstrated that, we're moving on to a situation where, you're kind of restricted in your range of hue because you can only use what's in your tetrad. So to stay with that tetrad, you're going to need to stay focus with the value and saturation. Well, although this is nice, you know, that was one of the things of picking your harmony. If you picked an analogous harmony, you would have that, range of hues from warm to cool temperatures that allowed for something like this. But with the tetrad, it's a little more difficult. You still have a range of warm and cool. It's just a matter of how you want to incorporate that concept into the tetrad. So basically to stay with it, just as I kind of said and repeating it myself again, is that value and saturation change will work fine. Trying to follow everything. I know that, one of the bigger things was this white space, and I wanted to save that until the end. Things like transparency. Transparency shows depth on its own, so it's not necessarily essential that the value show it. It's a matter of all of what we're using. In earlier assignments, we were separating transparency and depth from each other because there's different ways to create that. But transparency alone, it doesn't. It's not necessary to show depth in this area if you were looking for something like that as well. So going on to the problem with these white areas, it's really something that kind of needs to be caught early on, and then once it carries over, it becomes, as you're finding out, a bit of a hassle to change. One thing you might want to try to do, and this, I don't know what method. You said you're using a paintbrush, and if you're going in with a pencil and doing this pixel by pixel, that could take a little while. So I would maybe do have your line tool set. I would set it to something thin, and this may take a little bit of practice, but use your eyedropper. Pick what you need, and then go in with the line tool and just clean up the edge a little bit. And that might be a little quicker than if you're doing this pixel by pixel, and then you just pretty much need to flatten in between or whenever you're ready, just so you can see it clearly. But that'll clean it up a little faster, give you nice clean edges here. Something else, some of these areas where you may be able to just use let me see, this lasso tool. You can also go in and kind of click around the edges and then fill that in with a paintbrush, quicker. It looks much nicer where you're cleaning it up. I hope you're seeing that difference too, between where it's been cleaned up and where it's still kind of rough around the edges. That's really just one of those things of, controlling the selection tools early on and how you're making these changes. And working with layers is, one of the most effective ways to kind of not have that problem. Once you're able to work on multiple layers, you don't get that as much with the selection tool. So, it's unfortunate you kind of have to go back and fix that, but, on the plus side, I think it does look much better. So hopefully I'm answering both of your questions. I'll still check and review some drafts tomorrow morning if necessary. So let me know if you have any more questions. Thanks.